right, guys, I am here with Luke Lewis of Native Pest Control. Of course, I'm Jarrett with Main Street Mogul, and I'm honored to be with Luke today. He's a friend, and probably I'm going to say one of the best operators in the business, an absolute legend in the pest control field. So, Luke, how you doing this morning, man?
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate the intro.
It probably wasn't kind enough. I probably didn't build it up enough.
Yeah, you need to add more to that. It should be about 60 seconds long. But I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, man, doing great this morning. Of course, I'm down here in New Orleans. It's a little chilly for us down here, but we're making it. It's making all the rats run inside the houses and everything. So we'll take what we can get, Luke.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, man, so I just want to get into your story a little bit. You have a fascinating story. You have one of the fastest growing pest control companies in the country, and you've done it in what's considered a very short time compared to how long it takes most people to scale to the level that you have, Luke. So, I mean, I think everybody's going to be, asking that question is how do you do it? But I'd like to get to your origin story first, and just, I know nobody starts off doing as big of things as you are. So kind of tell me, how'd you get into pest control? What'd you do before pest control? How'd you get into it? Did you want to, when you were a kid, were you like, I want to do pest control, that's my life's goal?
It's funny. Yeah, I never wanted to do pest control. I didn't think I wanted to, but last year I was at my mom's house visiting, and she showed me a school notebook I wrote when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. And there's a page on it where it said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I wrote, I want to bugs and money is what I wrote.
Bugs and money.
And it was the most random thing because I had no recollection of that, and just to find that, when I had this top 100 pest control company, it was like, wow, okay, like starting from a young age, I guess this is what it was going to be. I didn't think I wanted to do pest control. Besides that, I grew up. My parents owned a landscape business, mainly doing high-end accounts, residential accounts on Palm Beach Island. They've had that business over 40 years now.
Wow.
So I grew up, at the dinner table, hearing all about their business, all the client problems, every business problem you could imagine. That was, they talked to each other because they were business partners, and
got it.
I heard everything every day. So it always seemed to me like that was the plan. One day I would come into their business and I would take over their business, and that would be what I would do. But before, they wanted me to, spread out and do other things, go to college before doing that, which I very much appreciate them doing.
Sure.
To not let me just walk right into it. So I went to the University of Florida, did accounting, ended up getting a master's degree in accounting too, and becoming a CPA.
Wow.
Still nothing to do with pest control. And I thought I was going to go to a Big Four accounting firm, like everyone else that I was in school with. And I was doing all the interviews, my last year in school, and I saw, oh wait, there's an interesting employer coming to do interviews, and it was the FBI.
Yeah.
So while I was at college, I was like, that sounds fun. I didn't think I had any shot at getting it, and I got it. It was a budget analyst job. They flew me up to Washington, D.C. for interviews, and they said, hey, you got an extra few hours before your flight. Do you want to interview for anything else while you're here? They gave me a list, and I saw one that sounded much cooler than budget analyst. It was intelligence analyst. Picked that, interviewed it, got the job. A year later, I was at Quantico for a few months for intelligence analyst training. I was 23 years old. They picked where you go. I thought it was going to be New York, Chicago. They picked Tallahassee, Florida. I didn't know a single person here. It was
meant to be, though, Luke. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. And so 23 years old, I went to Tallahassee, didn't know anyone. Worked for the FBI for a few years. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot of things. How big bureaucracies work. Realized I didn't, want to be spending the next 40, 50 years of my life just counting down the days to retirement like my coworkers.
Sure.
And so I did make the jump to go to my parents' business at that point, and the plan was, hey, I'm going to work for my dad. He'll retire maybe 5 years or so, and I'll take over. So within a few months of getting down there, I realized he's never going to retire. He's like me, he's never going to retire.
He's never going to retire, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, what did I do? Why did I leave this great job to work for my dad? People thought I was fired, wasn't fired. So I was looking for any way out that I could. And he happened to have started a pest control company kind of within his landscape company. Very
Oh,
small. They only did lawns, only one technician, and it was losing money. It was basically 80,000 a year revenue, so pretty like half a route. And he was looking to get rid of it and sell it. And I thought at that time, I said, oh, just clicked. There's my chance to get away from my dad's company. So I talked to him. My parents, luckily, kind of gifted that to me. Like, okay, sure, here we'll help you out. We'll get you started. You can take over the route, just buy the truck. So I bought the pickup truck. I only did lawns in the beginning, but that was a huge head start. Probably saved me at least a year. And then eventually got into pest control, added on termites, kept expanding geographically, and that was 10 years ago. Today, we're 125 employees.
wow.
Finished close to 18 million revenue last year. We've been on the Inc. 5000 list 5 years in a row.
My goodness,
and
what a ride.
Yeah, we're somewhere in the 60s on the pest control top 100 list. So I didn't expect it to grow this fast, but it did, and I'm very grateful for it.
Wow, man. Let me just back it up a little bit. That's so much, man. And congratulations on all the success. You said your parents owned a small business and you got to sit at the table with them and hear that conversation and be mindful of that. A lot of people, most people are not raised with entrepreneurs. And do you think being raised by entrepreneurs, did it give you like a mindset and a vision that gave you an advantage being able to see that? Or did it maybe at first have the opposite effect where you saw all the BS that came with it, all the problems, all the stress, and you're like, man, I don't want no part of that?
Yeah, so it definitely, I saw all the stress and problems. It didn't once go to my head that I don't want to deal with that. I was just kind of raised to accept that that's the reality of life.
Okay.
And so I just embraced it, and it did help me, I think, see the possibilities of, you can grow if you want, you can slow down if you want, you can do whatever you want. You have no boss. And I especially learned how limiting it is to have a bureaucracy above you when I was in the FBI, and having a boss above you and having to follow all the rules. So I think seeing those two differences, their business versus huge bureaucracy, really helped me see what I wanted, which was not the bureaucracy. I wanted to be in control of my career and my future. And I knew it was possible because of seeing them do it as I grew up. So I think it really helped me.
Yeah. I know your dad has a very successful company, but your company at this point has surpassed his by leaps and bounds. So 2 questions, Luke. One, do you tell him, hey, I got a bigger company than you and suck it all the time and kind of rub it in his face? And number 2, did you just from day one have a big vision and know you wanted a big company versus where maybe your dad, I don't know, maybe got comfortable at a certain stage, just never had that vision? And did you just have from day one, did you just know that you wanted to have this giant company versus just kind of stay at a certain level? Like you and your dad obviously made very different decisions.
Yeah, so I've actually never once rubbed it in his face. I probably have wanted to, but I haven't done that. That was my original goal. I'd say my goal was to be bigger than my parents' company.
That was your original goal?
That was my goal. I thought it would take 20, 25 years. So I never had this goal of being a 100 plus employee company. That just didn't even cross into my mind the first 5 years of business.
Wow.
I just grew up seeing what they did. They have about 35, 40 employees, maybe 3 million in revenue, 4 million.
Yeah.
And I just
so not a small company. I mean, they do very well.
Not a small company. Definitely a pretty good size for landscape industry. And I just saw what they did and thought, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to, just have 30 or 40 employees, and that would, if I'm in my 50s, 60s with that, like I'm super successful. So that was my goal, the first 2 years. I never ever thought I would get to where I'm at in 10 years.
Wow, man. Amazing. So let's talk about a little bit of how you've done it. I know a little bit of your story, so I'll kind of, just go over a little bit and you can fill in the gaps. But I know that you didn't start from scratch. I think you said it. You bought a company outright, or did you buy like?
No. Yeah, so there was no acquisition. We never did acquisitions. Never
did an acquisition.
No, it was just I did get that help from my parents that first.
Okay.
I'm trying to. It was 80,000 in revenue the first year I took over.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So almost nothing.
Yeah, but I was working for them, and then basically they were like, they were like, hey, we're gonna get rid of this. It's losing money. It's not our bread and butter. We should never have gotten into it. And that was the same time I was wanting to get out of their business. So that was my opportunity that I saw. Let me do this. It's kind of adjacent to their business, but it gets me out from under my parents, and
Yeah, sure.
puts me in control of my future.
So are they native landscaping, or how'd you come up with native pest? Did you just
Native, that was just, I wish I remembered clearly. No, they're just called Scott Lewis Gardening and Trimming, so it's really cool.
Okay. Shout out to
Native,
Scott Lewis Yard and Trimming.
Scott Lewis Gardening and Trimming, yep.
Yeah.
I don't remember how I came up with native. It was before AI, so I couldn't get any ideas from AI. I think I just, thought of, at one point I was like, what about like a animal, like blue bear? I'm glad I didn't pick anything like that, but I think I just made a list of like 20 possible names and just asked some friends and family and just came up with native.
Got to native. Wow. Well, it's worked for you, so good job
Thank
with
you,
that.
appreciate it. Yeah, in the beginning, my whole thought was, hey, people probably want eco-friendly, safer, and that was kind of the first few years. My big push was that. So that's kind of how I picked that name.
Okay, cool deal, man. So when you started, was it just you and a truck, and did you door knock? I mean, did you do social media? Did you immediately start building a team? Like in the very beginning, because you're coming from a background of the FBI and accounting, which I'm sure helped you be a good businessman, having those skills. But like, a lot of guys in pest control, myself and a lot of guys that have success, they start with a large company, they have that background, and they venture out. So you're coming in with really no pest control background, right? You're starting just from basically not knowing a whole lot about pest control. So tell me about that. Did you jump in a truck and kind of learn on the go, or how'd you get started?
Yeah. Yep. So in that transition, when basically I took over that company that was 80,000 a year revenue, created native. It had one technician who was actually one of my friends from high school. So we had one technician.
That's not always great, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did have to fire him. But one technician, one Toyota Tacoma with a 150 or 200 gallon tank in the back, springs so it could handle the weight. That's what I started with. One technician, one truck. I quickly was able to hire an operator that got me licensed for pest control. So that's when I bought a second truck. So I would usually have another technician do like the home pest control, and then I would do the lawns just because I had that background in landscaping. So I was very knowledgeable in lawns. And that was it, So I was out in the truck. I was not door knocking, never did door knocking, didn't know anything about sales. I did know about business and accounting, which helped for sure.
Sure.
But in the beginning, I didn't know anything. I asked. I hired an entomologist. I said, hey, can you come to my house? I don't know anything about pest control. He came to my house.
Oh wow.
Luckily, he was only 20 minutes away or so. So he came to my house. I said, where do I spray? Point net. Spray here. Put bait here. Do this. So I just had that raw inexperience. I didn't have any bad habits from other companies. I was able to hire consultants and do things the right way just from the beginning.
That may have actually, although your entry into pest control was different than the way a lot of people come into it, it may have been hugely to your advantage because, like you said, you didn't have those bad habits. And it sounds like from day one, you came in with the mindset of being an operator, whereas most people come into the mindset of being a technician first and then have to gradually mature into being a good business operator. Sounds like from day one, you just stepped into being an operator.
That's absolutely what happened. Yeah, I was an operator from day one, and I just, I knew I had to keep upgrading my level. I had to, I'm a technician level 1. How do I get to the point where I'm the person answering phones in the office, and how do I get other people to do the technician work so I can be the sales rep? And then, I have multiple technicians. How can I be the manager? So I've done every position in the company pretty much. But it did grow fairly slowly in the beginning just because I didn't know much at all. It took me a while. I think it took us 4 years to hit $1 million revenue. So I know I've heard of people on these Facebook groups that do it, in a year, 2 years. That's pretty amazing to me.
It took me 9 years to hit $1 million, Luke. So
yeah, see, so similar thing. So yeah, just it took a little while, and then the last 6 years really took off.
Man, so good. Is there any one thing that you think you can point to? And I mean, I know it takes a lot of things coming together, but is there any one thing that you can point to that really you could say, man, this really helped me grow more than anything? Whether it be just to give you some examples, would you say it was your marketing methods? Would you say it's putting the right people in the right place? Would it say it's your personal growth? Like if you had to pick one thing out of all those things that have to come together to have the type of success you do, what would be the one thing that you just say, man, you know, this really made the difference, this thing?
Yeah, if I had to pick one thing, the one, you know, marketing is really where we excelled, but I would not pick that as the one thing. I'd say the one thing, that would be the second thing. The one thing would be, I think, my personal mindset that it is not, nothing is ever good enough. Always being unhappy. Every day I'm unhappy. Like, I go into every protocol I look at, every system, every marketing thing that we put out, everything that we do is not good enough. And it can be better. And that's permeated throughout the organization over time, you know, just because I've always been that way. And my dad was that way. That's where I grew up. He was always the same way, so I picked it up from him. And I think it's just that, you know, I saw many times where competitors seem to become complacent. You know, they get used to, okay, billboards, that's our thing. Just keep doing billboards every year, or whatever. This is always the way we did, you know, treatments. Let's just do it that way. You know, there's this mindset where you can very much get complacent with pricing, with anything, employees, with training. And I always like to look at everything and think, why do we do it this way? Does it have to be this way? Like, is there a better way? So I think that's been the biggest thing that's really separated us from other companies.
Wow, man. So what I'm hearing you say is you just were very different in that the company became your obsession. And no matter how much success you had or what systems you had, you were always trying to make it better and almost being, I don't want to use the word, almost fanatical about moving forward and achieving, which very similar to, I'm not trying to compare you, but they say Elon Musk can be like that, right? Like no matter what he does, he's always striving. So that's something that I know definitely benefited to your success and differentiated you, because not everybody has that mindset to be that way. But also you said that you were never happy. So now today, I know that the company, you have the right people in the right place, and you're still running it from a very high level, but it's not the same way that you had to be in it before. So you've kind of been able to step out of it a little bit. Are you happy now? Or are you still like, man, it's not good enough? I want to be, you know, because I don't know exactly where you're at, but just to let everybody know, I'm guessing. I don't want to throw the wrong number out there, but if I had to guess, you're at least doing a revenue of like, 15 million, I think, last time you was on the list, top 100, something like that. So are you like, man, this is still, I want to be $100 million company, or like, you know, what are you feeling now? And are you happy? I want to know, are you happy?
Yeah, so personally, I am happy, yes. With the business, no, I'm not happy. So, we finished close to 18 million revenue in 2025.
Wow.
So last year was a great year with about 30% growth, but no, not happy.
Did you just say 30% growth? Did you say that? Did you just say 30?
30% last year, yeah, revenue growth.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a great year. And no, you know, like every day one thing I do is I spend some time looking in our CRM, our software, our systems. Actually, most days of the week, Monday through Friday, this is random. I can't imagine any other CEOs do this, but I read client text messages to our office for a few minutes every day, just random ones. You know, obviously I can't read, 90% of them or 99% of them, but every single day I read text messages to our office to see the general sense. You know, I'm a big believer in, anecdotal things. Like if you see a bad interaction with one person randomly, a manager might say, oh, that happened because of this and that, and point fingers. But it's like, okay, if you found one instance of that, there's likely a lot more of that happening that you don't see. When I was in the FBI, they said it wasn't the biggest threat in the FBI for terrorism. Was they always told us it's not what you like the bad guys. It's it's what you don't know who the bad guys are, kind of thing. So it's a gap in your mind of, like not understanding the threat. So there's things that are threats and things that are happening that you just don't even have an awareness of. So I try to keep that awareness present with me, and I'll message we have a channel on Slack called Random Audit Finds. It used to be called Luke Audit Finds, but I changed the name to Random Audit Finds because I wanted more people to contribute to it. But I'll just look at random text messages, emails, just random interactions, scheduling things, and every day I'll post some things in there. Hey, why did we message this to this person? Why did it take us this long to schedule this person? I just constantly ask questions to keep our whole management team focused on that continuous improvement.
Wow.
Continually focus on improving the customer experience, because
Wow.
that will translate to more referrals, more reviews, lower cancels, lower reservices. There's always room for improvement, and I'm a big fan of diving into those systems and interactions to see where the gaps are, see where the process breakdowns are, so we can fix those. And yeah, we can't fix that text interaction from yesterday. It is what it is, but we can help prevent that from happening again in the future.
Wow, Luke. So that's incredible to me, man. It's fascinating to me that I know enough about your company to know that you could probably completely step out and it'll still grow and it'll run itself. But that obsession and that vision for wanting to be more keeps you literally being obsessive, even about the small things, still to this day, to continue to have that drive and that push. And I've been around you before, and if I remember, just to give some examples of what kind of obsession and things that you do, if I remember right, was it Yelp or Thumbtack that you worked in the beginning aggressively? You'd be like responding to Yelp messages at like 2:00 in the morning. Is that not? If I remember that story right?
Yeah, Yelp specifically. I used to handle all the messaging myself, and that's
And you were a pretty large company when you were doing that, correct? Still,
it was 3 years ago. I was still messaging people myself on Yelp at 2 in the morning. I don't recommend it. That's one of every stage of the business I've been in where I've done a job, like, I was the guy, helping, responding to Yelp. I held on to for too long. I was like, okay, I'm really good at this. I'm faster than anyone else. I can provide the best customer interaction. Let me keep doing this because leads are so important. That's ego, so you got to I would recommend to anyone that's doing whatever they're doing in their business to get past that. You can hire people for that. You should hire people for that. You need to hire people for that to grow. So do that faster than I did. It took me years. I lost sleep. Could have been focused on other things. Could have been focused on health, family, everything. So I did a great job at it, but now I have 3 or 4 people responding to Yelp messages.
Wow.
24/7. Wow. So they're doing it better than me because I couldn't do it 24/7. So they can. So in my head, I thought I'm the best, but I can't be a team of people.
Man, that's some real knowledge. Anybody out there listening, man, y'all want to rewind that part. That's some real knowledge, Luke. That's something every young entrepreneur can really learn from. I think it does take a season of obsession, but we wait too long to find the right people to put them in place that actually do it better than us. Like you said, you got 4 people doing it now.
Yeah, and it's a valid fear. Probably when you first transition to the other people doing it, you're most likely gonna have a reduction in effectiveness and efficiency when they're learning. But once they get past that and really get comfortable with it and build up a little team around that process, they're gonna do it better than you can. And that pretty much applies to almost everything in the company.
Awesome. That's awesome. And every operator or every tech, when they start, always thinks they're the best at everything, right? We all think that.
Yeah, and you probably are the best, but you can't be, like I said, you can't beat a team of people. You can't be better than that. You can't physically or mentally. And yeah, you're the best, but do you want to do that forever? Maybe you do, and that's fine if that's what you love and want to do. But if you don't want to do that forever, okay, yeah, you're the best at it, but you don't want to do it forever. Take action, imperfect action, and get someone else to do it so you can focus on higher level things.
Man, you were dropping bombs, man. Imperfect action, that is what it takes.
That's it. I mean, yeah, I am a big fan of Elon Musk when he talks about the need for speed. You give someone a year to do something, it'll take them a year. We talk about that internally, so
Wow.
Over the last 10 years, I've moved pretty much everyone in the organization has told me I make decisions too fast. We haven't thought about it long enough.
They tell me that too, Luke.
It's too stressful. Everyone's getting stressed out, burnout. We didn't plan it out. Yes, okay, there is some side of that, but we get speed from it, and especially in today's market with how fast things happen, AI and everything, you need to be fast.
You know what my motto always on that has been? Yeah, we're going to move fast. We're going to make decisions quick, and we might make mistakes, but I'm going to move so quick and make decisions so fast that even if I make a mistake, I'll fix it and move on and still move better while the other guy's still trying to make a decision. I might make 3 decisions before he makes one and make a mistake 3 times, but I'll figure it out and fix it while he's still not doing anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And an example of that too is, I know multiple people that still to this day talk to me about their business ideas and how one day they're going to start a business. They're currently salaried working for someone, and they're just afraid of imperfect action. Rightfully so, as you get a lot of expenses, but at some point you gotta, if you want it, you gotta go after it.
You gotta go after it. I say that all the time. I think the hardest part of business is starting a business.
Yes,
and having the mindset to just do it and not know how you're going to do it, don't know how you're going to pay for it, and not even know anything, but just doing it anyway.
Yeah,
right?
It's like they say, jumping off a cliff and building an airplane on the way down.
Yeah.
So you don't realize it at the time. Like when I was in the FBI, I'm sure I had that thought, like, oh, I can't start a business. I've got this safe job, good benefits. But once you finally get past that mental hurdle and physical hurdle of doing it, you get a sense of motivation that you didn't even know is possible, because you're thinking, I'm going to starve, I'm going to be homeless, my family's not going to, I can't support my family if I don't figure it out. So I was forced, like many other business owners, to figure it out because I had no other option. So I did not like sales. I'm an introvert. I don't like sales at all.
Yeah.
I had to sell or I would starve in the beginning. Not starve literally, but I had to sell or else I was going to fail.
That is true motivation. That's a burn the boats mentality.
That's it.
It reminds me.
It wasn't even a question. I felt super uncomfortable, doing sales in the beginning, and I did not want to do it. But it didn't even cross my mind that I can't, make up excuses not to do it. I had no option. I had no money to hire someone to do it, and I had to do it. And I knew that you had to sell to survive, to succeed. So it gets you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you put yourself in a situation where you literally have no choice but to succeed.
Yeah.
I
think everyone should do that.
At least once in their life, right? At least
give motivation you can get, and you don't want to have the regret of not doing something like that when you're older. You want to, even if you fail, you got to try. Just try.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll fail, maybe you won't. But at least if you do fail, you know that you gave it a good shot and you saw what that.
Yes. Good stuff, Luke. Good stuff. So I know you've had a lot of challenges along the way in scaling. At what point was your biggest? Was it 1 million, 10 million? And then you continue to have this meteor, like rocket ship growth no matter what. Most people, when they start getting to that, 10 million or 15 million, their growth really slows. So kind of talk about what was the hardest point for you. Was it 1 million, 10 million? And kind of what did you have to do? Because I know you, at one point, you had to make your company different. You don't get to, with 18 million doing the same thing you did at 10 million, right? Yeah. So most people, just to get to 10 million is phenomenal, but even at 10 million, you push through. So what did you have to restructure or do different to break through that ceiling, like 1 million and 10 million, and just keep pushing?
Yeah. I'd say, just based on memory, the hardest stage is probably around 5 million.
Around 5 million.
I think that was the hardest mentally and physically, and my energy. I was 24/7 in the business, trying to make it. And a big part of that, at least for me, was the rapid growth. If I had been growing 5 or 10% a year, I don't think it would have been that stage. It would have been a different stage, maybe more traditional, like 1 million or 10 million. But we were growing over 50% every year, and we had constant new staff, constant lack of systems, because we were growing so fast that we didn't have time to develop training and staff and all these things that needed to so when we were a $5 million business, our systems were probably that, similar to a $1 million business.
Yeah.
So that's why it was so difficult. We just grew so fast, we weren't ready. We didn't have the infrastructure or knowledge or experience to support, that level.
Wow.
But we still just powered through it. Kind of just, I figured, I remember people telling me around that stage, you got to slow down, you got to build systems. It's going to, hey, I remember a story I heard of a company. So I was 5 million, heard a story of a company that was like, hey, they grew so fast and they hit 10 million, it basically imploded because of their lack of systems. And I remember telling my friends that, like, oh man, I feel like I'm on track for this because we had no systems, it's chaos. And then I thought in my head, well, I just was young and just ambitious and didn't know any better, so I just kept throwing fuel on the fire anyway. And I said, my solution to problems has always been sell more. You can sell if you get enough leads and sales, that'll solve all problems.
Man, I say that all the time. I said, sale covers up a lot of sins. You can always outsell a lot of problems. As long as you're selling, you're fixing problems.
Yeah, you generate more money. You're okay. Now I can hire another manager and put more problems on him or her, and then.
My wife says it all the time, and she said, if you have problems in pest control, just sell more pest control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've heard people, and I would say too, I'm sure it's very difficult. I've been there, $1 million revenue and under, very much in the field and dealing with, lots of customer interactions at that stage, technician interactions. I've heard, like you mentioned, the $10 million mark can be a hurdle. For me, it just never was. 15 wasn't a hurdle. It just, I think, we just, like I said, sales and leads solve all problems. You dump, you grow your leads 50% a year. It's hard not to,
Yeah. Well, you have to be able to sell those leads too, Luke.
Yeah.
You have to have systems and processes and right people in the right seats, which obviously around 5 million, you did start to take the time to put that stuff in place, right?
Yeah, and there's always been a weakness of mine is creating systems. So luckily around that size, I was able to hire some good managers who realized that we were not going to survive if we didn't create systems. So they kind of led the push for systems creation. And that helped a lot.
So Luke, I know one of the more difficult things for me, one of my weaknesses in business is holding on to the wrong people too long. And I keep hearing you talk about, it sounds like you are very intentional about putting people around you that are smarter than you or more talented than you at certain things that maybe you're weak in. How has it been for you? Because I know for me, I've learned, and I've gotten better, but for a long time, I would hold on to the wrong people too long, or I would try to fix it with systems. When a lot of time it wasn't a how, it was a who. And I've lost friends that I've hired and had to fire. And how big of an impact has that been? How difficult has it been for you to fire people that maybe you had relationships with, and then find the right talented people to put in place? Because it sounds like that's been a big piece of your growth, is just letting go of the wrong people and putting the right people in the right seat that were very talented in specific things.
Yeah. It's been that has happened. That's, I guess, been a skill set of mine in a way, but to kind of change out people when needed, not hold on to them. And
most people do hold on to the wrong people way too long. That's a common thing most entrepreneurs do struggle with.
Yeah, I'm just thinking over the last 10 years, I'm probably the opposite. I probably got rid of people too fast. So it turns out that maybe that was a good thing because, here we are. But, so here's an example. My executive team there's 3 other people on it besides me. I fired 2 of them and hired them back over a year later after I'll admit I'm not the best manager, and that's why I only manage one person right now, which is the vice president.
I love that.
Like one of the fired ones, terminated. Personally, I'd say a weakness was, coaching people, like telling them the hard things while they were employed for me. I kind of just brushed under the rug. Didn't really communicate well, and then I realized constantly that I would get to a point where I would, oh man, I'm stuck. I have to fire this person. I should have. And I think back, and I'm like, man, if I only had coached them better, and told them what they were doing wrong, and I wouldn't have had to fire them. But so it's almost kind of like the promotion process in the past was, okay, you got to get fired and come back.
Wow.
But yeah, so I think it did, because it did help, because the ones that did come back realized, okay, this is how it works. Like, this is what Luke wants.
Did it kind of change their mindset and make them kind of realize they wanted to be part of the vision?
Yeah.
And also they realize that, hey, Luke will fire me if I'm not doing the right thing, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, I once in a while, every few months, I think back and I'm like, think of all the people, that contributed a lot to our growth that are no longer with the company, and I think, wow, like, if we had those people back, imagine, like, how good the team would be. The team is great right now. I think of these all-stars, if I only had, managed them better. So I guess there's two sides to it. You can hold on too long, or you can get rid of them too fast. And it's a constant learning process. So, over time, you learn how to manage people and hopefully find that balance. Because some people do have to go, but some people,
get to stay.
Yeah.
Luke, you mentioned earlier in the interview about AI, and that's a real trendy, hot topic right now. Everybody's talking about it. I consider you to, you stay on the forefront of everything. Like you said, you're always pushing, you're always looking for ways to be better. So I'm really, really curious to know what you're thinking or doing, or what ideals you have about being able to leverage AI in the pest control industry. I mean, don't give away any secrets or anything, but that you may have, because if I know you got something going on that you're not, But how do you think AI is going to affect us in pest control? And are there any ways that you're using it to leverage to continue to bring efficiencies and grow your company right now?
I'd say the main way we're using AI currently is answering the phones. We use a software called Solea. And so after hours, up until a couple months ago, we were 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. with our office hours, and we tested it out for a couple months, answering calls after hours. It went well. It actually schedules in field routes automatically. So, someone calls in tonight at 10 p.m. They've got termites. They want a free inspection. The system is scheduling it on the right inspector. Tomorrow or the next day. So once we kind of did some debugging and everything, we were able to change our open hours to 24/7. So now we can get more leads, just by being ranked in the top 3 on Google, because you're going to be ranked lower, if you're showing it's closed. So we're able to get more leads from AI. We have it, we're using it in outside sales. Our outside sales reps are recording their proposals, their interactions with leads. And
what software is doing that, Luke, if you don't mind?
I'm trying to remember the name. I think it was, that slipped my mind.
That's okay.
It slipped my mind, because we looked at a couple and we finally picked one.
There's one, Saro or Suro or something like that.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm forgetting it too, but it's something like that. Saro, Soiro.
Yeah, so it scores,
it basically records the pitch in the field and becomes a sales trainer, and it picks up on, hey, this worked, this didn't work, and your sales managers can use it to train. And
exactly.
You're not using it, but I've looked into it, so that's cool that you're using it, and it's working well for you.
Yes, we just started about 2 months ago, but it's working well. I've seen the dashboard, and we look at it sometimes during our executive meetings, and it's great to see, like all the different scores for different reps, and we have KPIs, so we can improve those over time.
Wow.
We're looking at starting another software called Zima through Voice for Pest, which does a very similar thing for CSRs and inside sales reps, where it scores them and listens to all their calls.
What's that called again, Luke? Zima?
I believe it's called Zima. It might be XIMA.
I'm taking notes over here, brother. I'm taking notes, man. I'm learning.
Oh, yeah, do it. But that one, whatever one it is, it's through Voice for Pest. It's like an add-on. And then what else do we have it doing? We're trying to find a software that can do texting and web chat. So we're looking at different competitors right now, competing services to do that, just to speed up lead response times.
Wow.
And really, we're just trying to, increase sales and increase customer service with AI. That's the main thing we're doing.
Wow.
We have it listening to, transcribing all calls in the office and automatically adding, a summary of the call into their account in field routes. So different ways. And like you said, we're constantly looking at new softwares, new things that we can do to stay ahead of the competition.
Wow, man, very sophisticated, man. Awesome. Let me ask you, do y'all have a social media person in house that just does social media, like Facebook, YouTube? And just
We
one
do.
person, that's all they do is your social media?
Yep, that person's full time in the Philippines. Virtual
What?
assistant.
Use a
Yeah.
VA?
Yep. So we've got around 10 to 12 VAs right now full time.
Wow.
Yeah, we do. That's another thing. Like I told you earlier, I'm always unhappy. I'm like, I told our team recently, hey, we don't have enough engagement on our social media, so we're looking at maybe incorporating more video or something else to get engagement.
Are you planning to continue to train and use the VA or doing that? Or have you thought about bringing that like in-house, a person that shows up every day that just does it, that you can have more control and more touch and better training over? Or do you find the VAs, when you work with them and train them properly, because obviously I know that you get them at a more affordable rate. That's the big thing with VAs, right?
That VA, because she also does email marketing and other marketing stuff.
Wow.
If we do a change, it would most likely supplement it with, possibly either a company to do videos, or possibly a part-time or full-time in-house videographer.
There you go.
Start getting into more YouTube and Instagram Reels.
So would the videographer just get the footage in the field and send it to your VA?
Exactly. Yep.
How that would work?
And probably that person would edit it and do things like that, and just provide the finished product to the VA, who would oversee the posting and the emails and things like that.
Awesome. Well, Luke, I don't want to keep too much of your time. I know you're a busy man, so we'll wrap it up here, but I do have just a few more questions. Yeah. One, what is the future and your vision for Native Pest? Like in 5 years, is it 25 million? Is it 10 years that you want to, or 20 years, 100 million? What's your big, hairy, ambitious goal? Like, and you're as big as you can believe and think. Like how big would it have to be for you would be like, man, I don't even want to grow no more. I'm happy. I'm stopping right here. Like, what's your big vision for Native?
Yeah. So a few years ago, it was 100 million. That was 109 million. That was a mantra that we repeated. I would say that hasn't changed. So
awesome.
And even with that being said, just going back to what I said about just never being complacent, never being happy. I don't think that it would be the number that I stop at. But I'm like, okay, we made it. I think there is no end. Like I said, how it applies to everything else, it can always be better. We can always be bigger. To me, it's when I was a kid, I liked video games. So it's not. I don't have a goal. Oh, I need to buy this house, or business needs to be this size. It's love of the game. I want to see the scoreboard go up. That's and so there's no end to that.
That's right.
Hey, we're talking about our. Sometimes we think about our competitors. Every day we're thinking about our competitors and what they're doing in South Florida. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking bigger level. Like, why not? Hey, Rollins one day was small. Terminix was small.
That's right. That's right. Everybody started somewhere.
Yeah, someone's got to. So we talk about top 100. Shoot, I want top 5.
You'll get there too. If anybody will do it, you will. Yeah. You'll do it, Luke. Yeah, so. Absolutely. Luke, this has been so great, man. Thank you. You've dropped so much knowledge in such a short time here. Like, it's amazing. But if you had just one or two pieces of advice that you would give to, let's say, that young entrepreneur that's looking to start a business, maybe hasn't started yet, or that guy at 1 to 5 million that's just under that pressure and that stress and just trying to break through, it's two different situations. But if you were talking to that one guy starting, and then maybe the other guy that was at that 5 million, kind of feeling how you were feeling at that time, what advice would you give that guy starting? And then what advice would you give that guy that's just under that pressure at that, maybe $3 to $5 million mark?
Sure. So that guy starting, I'd just say sales and marketing, leads. If you want to get out of the field, you have to figure out how to get someone else in the field. Even if it's like how am I going to afford this guy? Like, the way you're going to afford it is you're going to hire him, and you're going to realize you can't afford it, and you're going to do whatever it takes to afford it, and you're going to find out that you can get leads that you never thought you could make, you can get sales you never thought you could make. Because you
Wow.
won't realize that until you put yourself in the actual position of not being able to afford it. If it stays in your head of, oh, I'm not going to take action on this and hire this person, it's always going to stay in your head. Once you pull the trigger and do it, you are then putting yourself in a different mindset that you're not currently in, and you will force yourself to do it. There won't be another option.
Wow.
So I would say do that, force yourself in that position. Every time I hired someone, or every time I can think of in the first 5-7 years when cash flow was an issue, that I thought, ooh, can we really afford another technician or another sales rep? Or I thought, no, we can't afford them, but if we hire them, we'll find a way to afford them. Well, and that's what we did. So it changes your mindset, and it keeps you hungry, keeps your ambition going. And I'd say and that kind of transitions into that, slightly larger sized company, and say, keep your motivation going, keep it at as high a level as possible by pushing the gas pedal. If you think you can do 15% growth this year, great. Okay, why not 30%? Just do it. Just push it more than you think you can push it. Push yourself to the max if that's what you want. And I think the reward in the end, once you get to where you want to go, will be more free time, you can relax, you can be more mentally present with your family and physically. But you have to know, okay, these next few years, I've got to grind, I've got to work my ass off, I've got to do whatever it takes because I have no other option, and that will get you there faster. So I'd say that, plus I'd say for both levels, you need to get out of the field, you need to be at a computer. That's where the magic happens, is at a computer, on the phone. You can do way more than you can do in the field, and invest in yourself, hire consultants. I always saw consultants as, someone that, hey, I'm at $1 million, this guy's been at $5 million. Yes, I can do it without him, I'll get to $5 million eventually, but if I hire him, yes, it's thousands of dollars a month probably, or hundreds of dollars a month. He can give me the secrets for me to save 2 years, 3 years. Instead of figuring out, what's right and wrong on my own, I can just pay this person to give me a little shortcut. So I've always seen it to be worth it to kind of pay for that extra knowledge, to take that, advanced leap forward, that's going to save you time, because time is something that's more limited than money. So,
Man.
yeah, if you're out there, you can do it. Do it now. Hire someone tomorrow. Actually, hire someone today.
Man, that is gold. You just dropped gold out there, guys. If y'all need to watch this one 2 or 3 times, because Luke is just dropping some knowledge on you guys, man. If you could just implement some of this stuff he's saying and get it in your mindset and in your just way of being, you'll have success if you can grab a hold of some of this stuff. So, Luke, this has been great, man. Thank you so much. You dropped so much knowledge. I wish you nothing but continued success, and no doubt you will continue to have success. I know you will be a $100 million company one day. If anybody can do it, I know you will, man. I know you'll stay obsessed about the small things and doing what it takes, and I can't wait to see you do that, man. I'm excited for you and what you guys are going to do in the future. And thank you again so much for coming on here, man. I really do appreciate it. Again, I'm Jared with Main Street Mogul. This is Luke Lewis with Native Pest out of Florida, dropping all kind of knowledge on you guys. Thank y'all for watching, and have a blessed day, guys. We appreciate y'all so much. Luke, I'll catch you later, man. Go conquer the world.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jared. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.